Hi, this is Lisha.
And this is Steph, and you're listening to
Trash Bags Podcast.
Bah,
Bah, ah,
bah, bah, bah.
bah, bah.
Oh, the life of a sheeple. How's it going, Lisha?
What's up? What's up? It's all right. It's 10 at night in Bangalore. It's kind of hot at this point. It rained earlier today. Then it gets hot after it rains.
Oh, okay,
Anyways,
fair.
what's it
Yeah.
like in Toronto?
12:36 now. It's looking sunny, but they're calling for rain. So I
Hmm.
guess we'll see. Maybe I'll get to go outside today.
Hey, sounds fun.
So today's episode, as you folks might have guessed it with our sheeple impressions at the beginning, is all about brainwashing and what we've experienced, what we know. Are we sheeple? I guess we'll find out.
Wow, such a professional introduction.
I just felt like they needed maybe a bit more explanation when they just heard pure bang in the beginning.
What? I thought they know.
I mean, if they are sheeple, they might have understood the language of our communication.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep. Why do you think we're brainwashed? What is going on?
Well, I think there's like a lot of ways we can be brainwashed, and especially during this pandemic, I think they've been so prevalent. Um, the fact that we've all had to kind of like isolate and like choose, like, we're really kind of like choose your own adventure for what media you're consuming these days. There's so
Mm-hmm.
much less of like going out into the world and like having a conversation with a stranger, and that will open your perspective or like teach you about something you didn't learn. Like, now it's so much like, do I want to engage with social media today, yes or no? Do I want to engage with new media today, yes or no? Do I want to
Mm-hmm.
engage with the news? Like, you are so much more in charge of that I think it's like
Mm-hmm.
so much easier to become self brainwashed. Yeah.
So, are we all in a bubble right now?
I'm in a bubble. Are you in a bubble?
Oh, absolutely.
I
Always.
think most people are in a bubble, and like even the people who aren't, let's say, like isolation bubbling based on government restrictions or personal restrictions, say a large group of people gathering to be part of an anti-lockdown, anti-mask rally, I would say even that group of people is a bubble, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Um, echoing back to themselves that those are the ideas that they stand behind, be
Mm-hmm.
that better or worse, be that whatever it may be for
Mm-hmm.
themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we're all in our own bubbles. I think we were before COVID, but like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I think that that's just gotten so much more heightened, is so much more available to us. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds weird for there to be something available to us these days.
Yeah, I do find
Yeah.
myself on my phone for longer now, on my laptop for longer now.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm bored, yes, I will choose to consume the content that I am satisfied with. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting myself more in this bubble. I'm reinforcing this bubble even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess like the way to break that is to try and like actively engage with or like actively get influence from people who have a different perspective from you and
Mm-hmm.
are voicing different complaints and different sides to the coin, as it were.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something that you're good at, or do you think you're good at being brainwashed?
I feel like that's what we do in this podcast, try to get to a different perspective.
That's true.
Uh-huh.
But at the same time, we are, I would say, like two people with like very much agreeable opinions towards each other. Like, we both see, acknowledge, and agree that there is a climate crisis happening on this planet, where
Mm-hmm.
there's lots of people who are in denial of that.
Mm-hmm. Like
Um,
flat earthers.
that's a group of people as well with their own held beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Who, they think that we're brainwashed to believe in round earth. Or I guess I
Uh-huh.
should ask first, Alicia, are you a flat earther? Do you believe in flat earth?
Oh, hell yes.
Well, I guess we are from two different sides of the same coin, as it were.
Just like the earth. It's like a
Oh my
coin.
gosh. Oh shit, we've gone there. We've gone there. Um,
By the way, that's a joke. I'm not a flat earther. I don't want people to believe that about me. Earlier, you were saying that social media is an echo chamber.
Mhm.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's just like the idea that um, you can choose. Okay, sorry for that brief interruption, folks. Lisha has not been recorded by aliens. Flat Earth Society did not come for her.
Right.
Where the heck were we?
So I asked you earlier, you told me that social media is an echo chamber. So, what do you
Mm.
mean by that?
So just like the idea that you're choosing who you follow. You're choosing if you are going to have the opposing side of you presented in front of you to open up your perspective more or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, as someone who cares about environmental causes, I follow some different accounts that bring those things to my attention. They remind me to reuse and reduce before I recycle. They
Mm-hmm.
teach me about foraging, that kind of stuff. But it is like that is of interest to me to follow those things. And those will continue to cycle that same information in front of my face. Then it's my choice if I want to follow um, a big oil company or a big gas company or coal mining or diamond mining
Mm-hmm.
and see from their perspective, like what do they consider the good parts of those industries and why do they consider to not be at fault for this climate crisis. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it's that idea that um, either your ideas are completely echoed back to you, putting you in an
Mm-hmm.
echo chamber, or they're not because you've introduced that other perspective and
Mm-hmm.
it's less of an echo chamber.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess that's what I mean by that.
Um, I had once, as a fun experiment, exchanged phones with a friend, and we looked at each other's Instagram accounts to see how different it is.
Mm-hmm,
And like you said, reflects it reflected her personality, her interests, um, and mine reflected my personality and interests. So it's like you said, it's reinforcing what choices we make, what we like to hear back to us.
mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, one
so
thing I. Oh, sorry, you can continue your thought.
no, no, you can go ahead.
I was just going to say that I thought it was really interesting when I first got my smartphone. We
Mm-hmm.
talked about that in a previous episode and how I was so late to the game with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think I probably made my original Instagram account in like 2012 maybe, and then stopped using
Mm-hmm.
it. And it's been like in and out of use depending on my technology at the time, depending on my internet connectivity at the time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so when I first got my smartphone, and then we went into this lockdown a few months later, and I was like suddenly on Instagram all the fucking time. It was
Mm-hmm.
really funny and interesting. Like I have actively put on my smartphone like and like through my email accounts and everything so that the the advertising doesn't track me. I try and make it
Mm-hmm.
not track me,
Mm-hmm.
which is impossible because like advertising is now so much everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like even like all the cookies and stuff. But at
Mm-hmm.
first, it was really funny because so much of what I had used my like previous devices that were connected to Instagram, and Instagram's definitely the one that I talk about the most because I've pretty much stopped using Facebook and have like kind of used TikTok a little bit, but not really. Like mostly my Gen Z roommate teaches me how to use it. Um, and like also as an artist, like Instagram is such an incredible platform to just like see photos of work all the time. And I don't know how
Mm-hmm.
to use the internet otherwise. But I was getting these advertisements that were so tailored to like the work that I do and like research for like props I was buying essentially. Like
Mm-hmm.
I remember once for a show I had to buy a garbage can. So like naturally as the person in charge of not only buying the garbage can but also the budget, um,
Mm-hmm.
I had to make sure that I was buying like the most cost effective garbage can. And so I went on various websites and like looked up their garbage cans and saw the price and like, okay, this is the size I want, this is the color I want, where can I buy it? And so for like a month, I was only getting advertisements about garbage cans. And then like when I got this smartphone, it was still kind of in that mentality of like I guess
Mm-hmm.
from like my email and my Instagram and my Facebook and like everything just moving over from my previous devices. I remember I got an ad for like shelving units for inside of a morgue. And I was like, that could not be any more off brand for me as a person. But like, I guess this is what my ads think I want. And like, it speaks so much to the echo chamber, the fact that now the ads I get are like an at home in your kitchen compost unit that can like break down your raw food materials into nutritious dirt for your plants. And I'm like, fuck, I've been read. Like, Jesus Christ, what has happened? You know, but also like, damn, give me that composter.
I know that's the difficult part when they tailor these ads for you. You really actually want to buy these things.
Yeah.
It's dangerous, yeah.
It's so dangerous and like it
Mm-hmm.
speaks to like how much like that brainwashing also does work because like if I saw that one time, I might be like, no, okay, I'm not gonna lie. The first time I saw it, I was kind of immediately intrigued. I'm pretty much that way with anything environmental, but like if it
Yeah.
was say like a shirt or a bathing suit or something that I don't necessarily need that's not like based so in depth in like something I'm so passionate about, then
Mm-hmm.
it might not get to me. But when you see it 3 or 4 or 5 times, it
Mm-hmm.
grows on you. And like that's
Yeah.
how advertising works is just like showing you that message enough times that you decide that this is the answer. And like
Yeah.
the ultimate brainwash,
I try my best to ignore ads because I know this is what happens. And when I know it's an ad, I try to scroll through the
Mm.
feed as quickly as possible. And I try not to indulge in it because I know I will try and explore some more about the brand. I'll go to their website, I'll look up stuff, and then I'll get
And the
tempted to
more you
buy them.
engage
But
with it, the more that it presents itself to you because they're like, this
yeah,
is a possible person. We've got you
yeah.
now. The claws are in.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And even on Instagram, the amount of time you spend on each post is they know about it. So
That's so crazy.
the quicker I scroll through it, the
Mm.
less I get those ads.
Ads are brainwashing.
Hmm.
What else is brainwashing?
News, media,
News. Definitely.
especially now during the pandemic, we're all on the news. We're trying to get the latest information about the latest happenings. Are we actually getting real information, or is it fabricated by the news companies? Have they been tailored to look attractive to us?
Oh,
You know,
definitely.
yeah.
News is kind of just like, what's the buzzword at the moment? And then, like, we'll try and show that to people, but also, like, in a way that's, like, palatable and also in a way that, like, serves us. And, like, are they getting. I mean, I guess I don't really know how the news entire system works. I'm going to not voice anymore because I'm just an idiot on a rambling phase if I continue. But I don't know. I think news is also it's still an industry, right? So it still needs certain amount of activity for it to
Hmm.
continue.
I can talk about news, comparing it
Go
from an
for it.
Indian perspective and a Canadian perspective.
Yeah, go for
Um,
it.
so in India, on news channels, it's very busy. There are a lot of things thrown at your face every second. It's bright colors, it's loud voices, angry people, um, something moving along the screen constantly, the breaking news. It makes you feel like you need to be worried and completely aware about everything that they're showing you. um,
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it's the music, and it's the bold font, saying breaking news, and that is moving, and you're like, oh my god, now I'm scared, I really need to know this.
Yeah.
And you're anxious about the tiniest thing. I mean, if you in this is used in movies as well. They use the background sound as a cue to make you feel something. um, the visuals also make you feel something. It's there for
Mm-hmm.
a reason. And of course, these news channels are doing the same here as well. They're making me feel something without my approval. They're not letting me think for myself. So yeah, in Canada, it's more like, I mean, it's similar, but it's not as aggressive as it is here in India. They don't get emotional about the subject. They're journalists. They're communicating the news from a neutral standpoint. But in India, it's like the journalists get angry, and they start screaming and shouting at each other. They shout at the guests. It's so
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous. It's almost like reality TV at one point. um, so I mean, it's all. This is what I meant by the news is brainwashing us. Can you just sit there, communicate the message, and go away? That is what I want from you. I just need the news. Don't get my heartbeat racing at a certain pace, and don't get my anxiety level raised to above the bar. Like, just tell me what's going on and go away.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
you don't want to have an emotional influence on you. You just want the facts, and then you decide how you feel about those facts.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I will say here, like, the news reporters do like express emotion as well, but
Mm-hmm.
it's usually more of like, I guess, like a more subdued version of those. Like, the news reporter will definitely like express sadness if it was like a tragic car accident or something that they're reporting on.
Mm-hmm.
But there can definitely be more of a neutrality to things in
Mm-hmm.
a way. Um,
Yeah.
because it kind of just depends on what they're reporting at the time.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Do you guys have like goofy morning shows like we have? Like we have like
Ah.
breakfast in the morning with blah 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 blah, and today we're gonna show you how to make an omelet with Chef Jacques. He's in town. Like, we have that kind of thing.
Mhm. I mean, we don't have it in a similar format, but kind of something relatable to that. We do have
Okay, like the
morning
latest
news and
fashion trends. That one's always funny to me.
yeah,
I don't know.
and one of the most no, unfashionable people will probably be telling about the latest fashion. Yeah. Another thing that we can talk about is the government, their power to do propaganda to literally make people do whatever they want people to do. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. What is propaganda like in Canada?
I guess it's like hard to
Figure
hard
it
to
out.
necessarily like it's hard to point out propaganda when you're within it, you know?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's easier once the veil has been removed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
like this huge rise in defunding the police.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a push for some time for sure, but that veil has been removed, you know? Those
Mm-hmm.
conversations are being had. Conversations about reparations and conversations about reconciliation for Indigenous peoples, like that veil is being removed more. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that the government propaganda in place for those things and like especially indigenous rights and like indigenous
Mm-hmm.
people here in Canada, I think a lot of the propaganda, to be honest, is in the school system. It's
Mm-hmm.
in the fact that, you know, I didn't learn about indigenous traditions that are still carried on today, and
Mm-hmm.
indigenous people are very much talked about like in the past, and like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, here's settler way of life and this is the way that things are and always have been and always should be. And it's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
it's not the way things always have been, it's not the way things always should be, and in fact we're still continuing to oppress people and that should not go on.
Yeah.
So it's like the propaganda that like it just sort of removes you from everything and it lets you just like feel safe and comfortable in the way you're living.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, in my lifetime there hasn't been any sort of like, or maybe there has been but I've been too young. You know, like the classic in America, like Uncle Sam wants you to join the military. You know, like I never lived through that kind of a propaganda that like feels very much like ads for supporting the government. But I
Mm-hmm.
guess, like, in turn, anytime you vote for government, anytime you're voting on anything political, like, there will be that propaganda. There will be that, I'm your buddy, I'm your friend, I'm looking out for you. And, like,
Mm-hmm.
no matter who the collective you is,
Mm-hmm.
there's always someone trying to appeal to that.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess like that's sort of the government propaganda that I've experienced that like of course it comes to mind. Sorry, I got a text. In this exact moment, I'm sure the more I think on it, more ideas would come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
But what's some government propaganda you might think of in your
I threw
world
you under
or
the
in
bus
here?
and I didn't realize that I would have to answer the same question after you.
Yeah. Don't you know
Because
by now? I'm not creative in my question asking. I just say, and in India?
like you said, if you're in that environment, you don't realize what is actually happening. But recently, I've been kind of observing that these politicians, whoever is the president or the prime minister in case of India, the prime minister is a more of an important figure in politics. So
Mhm.
um, they have created an image around this prime minister about his values, his ethics, and how amazing he is and how well he's doing for the country, and things like that. And for the current prime minister, there's a lot of cult following, you can say. Like, a lot of people actually like this prime minister, but I
Mhm.
mean, behind the scenes, we don't know what his intentions are.
Mm.
But I mean, I'm sure all politicians are in that position for some kind of a selfish motive. Even though, yes, their interests might be the greater good, but still, I have trust issues. I don't trust these people to
Mhm.
to actually do good for the country. Um, it's it's made me realize that I shouldn't fall for this trap of this image that they've created for this prime minister.
Mm.
And it's something that I realized only recently, and I have fallen for that trap all this while.
Yeah, and it's
um
sort of a matter
yeah.
of like looking at their behaviors leading up to the, you know, propaganda campaign that is set out during voting time.
And these are the things that are done in communist countries, like in China and North Korea. I don't know where else in the world, but these come to my mind. Even in Russia,
Yours is a
this is what is done.
democratic country, though, right? Like, you guys all
Yes,
vote? Okay, that's what I
yes.
thought. I was like,
Hmm.
shit. Am I less informed than I thought? I mean, I'm always less informed than anyone ever at the table, but.
That's why we're trash bags.
Couple of bags of trash talking.
That should be our intro song.
Micah!
Oh, yeah, that's right. I mean, it's really hard for me to actually figure out the propaganda that might actually be happening right now that I'm a part of. Because how do you actually realize that?
Well, I am curious then, like, if you, when you came back to India, because some time had
Hmm.
passed, like,
Hmm.
if there were things that you, like, saw or experienced or felt or conversations you were part of maybe that made you just kind of think or, like, take a step back and be like, whoa, this has been normal for so much of my life, and coming back into it, this feels a little weird.
Okay, this is a thought I have. It might not actually answer your question
Okay.
because because I couldn't stop thinking about it. This was something I had shared with you, but I could never actually put it into real words. Ever since I have been back, I feel like I have been less brainwashed. So I actually felt a little trapped and suffocated in Canada, if you know what I mean. I don't know, you might not.
Oh, okay, so Canada felt more brainwashy to you.
Yes, the thing is in
Go
India,
off. Tell me.
I don't know because I think it's because I grew up with it that I haven't really realized certain aspects about it. But I mean, we don't follow the rules. We don't listen to anybody. We kind of do what we want to do.
Hmm.
It's terrible in one way if you think about it, but it's also kind of good because you have free thinking, if you
Yeah,
know what
yeah.
I mean. But
Like
in Canada,
ultimate free.
it's more like I might still not be able to be put to this into words, but it's like I have no idea. It's like you're sort of forced to be confined to certain behaviors.
So kind of like um you can't say you're not brainwashed if you're gonna wait at a light for a picture of a man to tell you you can walk.
See, it makes sense to have rules like that because it leads to like road safety. But
Hmm.
I think it's because
But
I've
at the same
always
time,
been.
it is like definitely a kind of like I've stood at a light and waited for it to tell me I can walk when I can see that the street is completely empty, and like
Mhm,
there's not going to be any repercussions because the street is empty. There's not a police officer ready to give me a jaywalking ticket. But at the same time,
mhm.
like, and I've caught myself in those moments and I've laughed at myself and been like, you idiot, just go. Like, what are you doing? But at the same time, like, it is so much of our conditioning is like, and some people it's not, but like, wait until it's your turn to go. Wait until this thing, like, kind of to have that, like, passive, like, it's fine. Which I don't know, maybe that's that Canadian stereotype of like being too nice, but
But
I guess.
again, it's a good thing. You need to follow these rules, otherwise it's chaos. So I have appreciated that sense in people where they will follow the rules and they will call out somebody if they are not following the rules. I think I'm still unable to put this into words.
Mm, okay. I
Yeah.
think that's something that like I kind of need to remember more cuz I forget that other people will get mad at you for not following the rules.
Hmm.
And I'll just kind of like talk freely or like whatever, do something freely, and people around me that I'm associating with are kind of like, no, like we're in public, and I'm like, oh, right, 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 yeah, no, okay. um and I mean, not that I'm like doing anything so wild, I'm not like running around butt naked, but it's like, oh yeah, I guess there are things that you do that people can get mad at you for doing. Um,
Yeah. Okay. I think I could find the words now just a little bit. Might still not make it still might not make any sense, but let me try.
mhm.
Okay, so I feel like there you're kind of thrown into a bubble to make you feel like whatever you're doing is fine, it's right, your behaviors. Like
Mhm.
it could be like overconsumption, producing a lot of trash, going in terms of the environmental aspects. um, I feel like it's all right to be overindulgent. You're kind of encouraged to overconsume and buy more.
Yeah,
So
in a
you're
way,
kind of
definitely.
very, very separated from the rest of the world, from the rest of the world suffering, from everything that's going on in the rest of the world. That is something that I have noticed, that they put you in
Okay.
this sweet, sweet bubble of your own. And I think this is the reason why you're so comfortable with the idea of an apocalypse instead of actually understanding a different point of view and changing yourself.
Mm, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's kind of like this idea that like every single one of us is a delicate little snowflake and we all deserve to have like the best possible experience on this planet and like that kind of idea. Is that sort of what you're getting at? Which like it's fine, you can call me a delicate snowflake. I won't be offended. I mean, that's kind of the
I
nickname
mean,
for my generation. So but like
maybe
this
kind
idea
of
that
similar to that,
like
but not
you can
entirely.
focus on only your problems and making them better because you deserve to have all your problems fixed, but like in doing so you're ignoring the problems of all the others and like potentially making their situation worse when you could just open up your scope and everyone's situation would be better.
Kind of, and also it's this idea that they kind of it, they let you know that you are a valuable person, and you know your decisions and your ideas are correct, and you know, like, because you are a rich country, what you do is more important or more relevant than the rest of the world.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, we prioritize ourselves as a country and also as individuals.
Hmm. I mean, I don't know if that is a good thing or a bad thing, but that is something that I have never experienced in my life in India.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Because in India, it's more like you're trash, you're worthless. You know, I mean, if you're dead, it makes no difference to anybody. It's kind of like that. I'm not in terms of like in the family context. It's more like the country's context.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay, which again comes from this idea of like the government, like the way that the government sees people as individuals or as numbers or as worker ants or as, you know, depending on the way that you feel the government is viewing the situation at
Hmm.
hand. Hmm,
Yeah.
interesting.
But yeah,
And so you
also,
would
I
think that.
mean, yeah, sorry. It's also the way the world is set up right now. It's like the US the US and North American countries like Canada and the US consume a lot of resources, and China is the producer. China, India, and few other countries are the producers. Um, you know, for example, I was talking to Lacey. She did fashion designing as well in Canada, and I did fashion designing in India. And the stuff she learned was from the perspective of Canada. Like she would create the designs, and this is what she learned in college, that they are supposed to create the designs and ship them off to a third world country where they would manufacture it. And I learned it in a point of view that we would receive the designs from these countries, and you know, how would we go about the factory process, how is it done that in that level, you know.
Wow.
So
Literally the two parts of the system like
Yeah.
working together, but actually a world apart. And like,
Hmm. I feel like we're all they've brainwashed us to make us feel like the setup that they have put us in. This is a class. This is an example that can actually define what I'm thinking. I hope it helped you
yeah,
understand better.
I think I do kind of get it. It's like,
Mhm.
it's it's very much like the you work for us mentality,
Mhm.
which is like so bullshit. Like the
Exactly.
rest of the world is working to make us happy, which is very 1% of us, like very 1% thinking. Um,
Mhm. And
it's
we
like
grow up thinking that we are supposed to make them
that
happy. That's
your
how we
job
earn
is
our
to make
living.
us happy. Where like instead you could be designing clothing and then also sewing clothing, or your friend could be sewing clothing or something in India, and that whole system stays there. And then someone here could be designing clothing and also sewing the clothing, and then that whole system stays here. And
Exactly.
not only are we, there's like a cultural significance to that of like
Mhm.
designing and making your own clothes, but there's also
Mhm.
like the environmental impact of like not
Yeah.
having to ship that all overseas. And
Mhm.
there's the working wage aspect of like there's so many clothing, and like of course any industry can be applied to this, the
Mhm.
plastics industry, the food industry, whatever industry can be applied.
Mhm. Yeah.
uh, you know
The
Shipping
localized
overseas.
businesses.
Yeah, and like especially with the this the place that the world is in now, where free exchange of information is so much more accessible through the internet. Like
Mhm.
for you to design a pattern there that gets sewn there can
Yeah.
happen, and for you to design a pattern there that gets sewn here can happen. So why is
Mhm.
it that the patterns are still being designed here and made there and then shipped
Mhm.
back here, and you guys don't even get to enjoy the fruits of your labor?
Mhm.
Instead, you get to enjoy the barely livable wage that we're paying so
Mhm.
that we can buy things at a cheap price to then own for 1 year and throw away and have
Mhm.
no regard for the impact of the planet, or especially the impact on the people who are literally providing us with the things
Mhm.
that we think we love so much.
Mhm.
Wow. Wow, that made me have some deep thoughts.
Yeah, so that made me think that maybe at some point of time, borders and countries will become obsolete. It'll make no sense, at least because of technology. Like you said, anybody can do anything anywhere. And cryptocurrency is taking off. Our actual currency might have no meaning after some point.
Imagine what would happen. Oh, that's like its own entire thing. If like all money suddenly equaled the same amount. Oh,
uh,
that'd be fucked.
the fantasies we have.
Oh my gosh. Like the whole state of the world would change.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Well, I think that's for another conversation.
maybe.
But I think we've covered some good topics today here in
Hmm.
brainwashing.
Hmm. I mean, I rambled about things that I never thought I would. So, and I was able to put my thoughts into words. So that's good.
Yeah, kind of like free
Hmm.
verse writing.
Hmm.
Always a new and interesting thing here on the Trash Bags podcast. We hope it expands your mind. We hope it makes you think a new thought, see a different perspective, see the
Oh,
other
yeah,
side of the coin.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, with that, maybe it's a wrap.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in to season one.
Yeah. Thank you, listeners. This is our first season, an experiment. Let us know what you think
Yeah.
through, I have no idea what channel, through what medium.
I don't know. We'll figure that out. There will be links in the
Hmm.
bio for all the
Hmm.
episodes, for all the
Hmm.
information to contact us. And if there's episodes you want to hear in the future, let us know. Thanks for listening. Lisha, thanks for talking to me.
Thank you, listeners, for listening. Thank you, Steph, for being on this journey with me, for having a conversation with me.
Yes, always here for a conversation.
Thank you for listening, and remember to tune in next week.
Please show us some love on Instagram at TrashBagsPod. And remember,
we might all be trash folks, but don't be a trash bag, be a reusable one.
Also, thanks to our sound editor, Micah. This would all be so much worse without you. Bye now.
Bye.